First of all, this video has nothing to do with the most recent events that took place in the Supercell community. I think it's best that I don't speak on topics that I have very limited knowledge of. However, this is a video that I've been planning to make for a really long time about the struggles that I've been dealing with behind the scenes, and to provide those of you out there that care a reason for why I haven't been posting as much.
This is actually like the first time that I've actually clicked record without putting a ton of thought into it. You know, I don't even know what direction the video is supposed to be going into. I just have no idea. I'm not even in my office. We're in my garage that I've been working on for like the last couple of weeks. It was a mess. Like when we first bought this house, like the walls were super nasty in here, whatever. And yeah, so we painted it and did all kinds of stuff and built like a home gym because I need to work out. Because I used to be, well, about 5 years ago, I used to be in really, really good shape. Like ate clean and lifted weights, and can't really run anymore due to some injuries and stuff. But, you know, I probably should try to force myself to do that. Yeah, I have been dealing with a lot of depression in a way. I mean, I wouldn't say it's necessarily clinical, although I have been diagnosed with certain mental disorders, if you will, in a way. Not like not like I'm going crazy or anything, but I deal with a lot of stuff on a daily basis that I am unable to speak about, I guess, especially with the profession that I went into, which is interesting because before I started making YouTube content for a mobile game, I lived a pretty private life. You know, I was in the military for well over 10 years and then got out of that and moved on with my life with really no direction whatsoever. I was just trying to figure it out as I went along the way. Not a lot of planning, et cetera, et cetera. Worked a couple of jobs, and then we had started a YouTube channel while I was in the military. It was just fun. It was like a hobby, you know, like there wasn't any rhyme or reason. Like I was an amateur, like YouTube, like I didn't know what I was doing. I didn't even know how to make a video, you know. I was just pretty good at playing a game, and people were saying, you know, oh, this guy's really good. This was during a time when modding was like a huge thing in Clash of Clans, and I wanted to show that I wasn't modding, just because if you did anything that was like beyond what people could actually do, they accused you of modding. And that's how my YouTube channel originally got started. It's funny because when I started that YouTube channel, it was really just trying to help my friends out. You know what I mean? Like it wasn't anything, I didn't think it was going to grow. I didn't think it was going to do anything. I just thought if I make content that can help my clanmates get better, we'll start winning wars. You know? Anyways, so I took a break in 2018. Like before that, I think I started the channel like 2016 and then posted a bunch of content, meaningless junk content, I guess. I was trying to learn how to become a YouTuber, how to talk better on camera by looking at the camera, like which I've been kind of struggling to do right now because it's a super awkward conversation, I guess you could say. But it was time for me to get out of the Army, and I had posted a bunch of content, and it wasn't really generating anything that would be considered revenue to live off of. So I got freaked out, you know, like a major career change. And I got out of the Army and went back to real life, if you will. And I had to, you know, work part-time jobs, just trying to figure out what was going to click. And we just got this idea of, you know, what if we tried actually doing YouTube while I was studying in university. So originally I was studying accounting because I'm really good with numbers. I love numbers. They don't change. They don't lie to you. They're just, you know, they're like a constant. And then I realized, like, I didn't want to be in an office job at that time. You know, I thought that was just your traditional conservative way of living. Just go get out a job, you know, go out, get a job, study, get this degree, and then work some office job making somebody else rich. And that bothered me more and more as time went on in the first 2 semesters. Actually, I think I went for 4 semesters at Coastal Carolina University. And then I was like kind of getting a little bit addicted to YouTube because I started making content as a free-to-play player. And that's a separate story in itself, just because I just didn't get the answers I was looking for when I was browsing YouTube content for Clash of Clans. But anyways, I decided that it was time to transition into something a little bit more creative, like try to explore something about myself that I had never explored before. So I studied digital cinematography, aka film. Wasn't necessarily quote unquote film school, but it was really just learning, storytelling and how to edit a video and all these different things that I thought would make me a better YouTuber, if you will. Granted, it did help with some early success, etc. But I transferred from Coastal to Full Sail to study that. And the first year of that was actually a really good time. I think this was like 2019, maybe 2020 actually. And I started like just taking a little bit more risks with YouTube, like in the sense of like the free-to-play series and coming up with all these really crazy ideas and really connecting with the audience. And I became a little addicted to the growth of YouTube after it started kind of really taking off. And in looking back on it, I didn't really know what it was that was doing it. But now, as time has passed, and I've become a lot more structured in the content, if you will, with like scripting and planning out every scene and all this other stuff, that I understand what it was that really kind of triggered the growth back then. And that was me being genuinely passionate in connecting with the viewers and being able to speak to the viewers like a real person. And I feel like that's something that I've definitely lost along the way, is really kind of focusing more on like the growth of YouTube and trying to become a 1 million subscriber channel, that I have lost a lot of the key elements of my initial growth. Granted, I started growing in 2020 when everybody was struggling with the pandemic and stuff, and we're trapped indoors and we're playing mobile games or just games in general to try to like escape their reality. And I just so happened to be making content at that time. Maybe it was fate, I don't really know, but it just worked out that way. But as time goes on, I quickly realized that I have things within myself that I prefer to do. Like I enjoy learning new things. I enjoy trying new things. I enjoy testing the limits and pushing things and finding goals that are a little far-fetched that I might be able to complete or achieve. And it's interesting. It's an interesting story all the way around, because right now I'm kind of like in a little bit of a slump of what am I doing now? Like what is the goal? Where am I trying to go? Because let's use Clash of Clans as an example. When I started the channel, back 2016, I was just really into the game and I enjoyed playing with people and friends. A lot of these friends are long since gone. They quit the game years ago and I haven't heard from them since. I made content that I thought was important for everybody, but in reality, I was just super ingrained in the war scene, and people didn't necessarily play like that, So I took that year off in 2018. That was about the time that Town Hall 12 was released, the Electro Dragon. I missed all that stuff, like I just completely missed it. And I ended up having to come back into the game in 2019. I mean, I still played, but I didn't make content. I came back into making content and I picked right back up where I left off. All war and like all strategy and all like serious. And we had an audience, a smaller audience, and that was fun. We did streams like on, I don't remember. I think it was like Wednesdays and Thursday nights or Wednesday and Friday nights, something like that. And Fabi, my fiance, girlfriend at the time, we would stream together and she would just sit there and like drink wine and make wisecracks to the audience. And we would do like some type of war or something, or watch war attacks. I don't really recall exactly what it was that we did back then, but I wanted to grow, you know what I mean? Like, I wanted the channel to grow, and I wanted to do more. Like, I didn't want to just sit there and do what everybody else was doing at the time. Let's see. I started, like, browsing YouTube content as a whole for Clash of Clans, and I was trying to figure out, like, what it was that was missing. You know what I mean? Like, everybody at the time was covering esports content, because in 2019, that was the first year that Clash of Clans was going to do an esports. And this was something that was begged for by the community for many, many years. And every channel that I knew of that were relatively popular were covering, you know, some form of esports. And that was like narrowing down like the Clash of Clans content to this tiny little area, you know, that people just might not have been interested in, because it didn't really cover anything of substantial interest to them, or it wasn't relatable to them. So we got this great idea to play Clash of Clans strictly free to play. And I think I had an account that was like a Town Hall 7, brand new Town Hall 7, that's what it was. It was a brand new Town Hall 7 account, because I was building up a Town Hall 7 to use in a tournament. This is back when I actually did play competitively, in a way. And unfortunately, you know, it's very unfortunate, because we did enjoy the viewers that we had back then, and we did have some really, we kind of formed some really strong relationships with those people. You know, obviously you just see names on the screen, you don't really see them face to face, but we felt genuinely connected to them. The unfortunate part about that was that we changed the content so drastically that a lot of people just took off and weren't interested. You know, me starting a new account, or a Town Hall 7, playing it free to play, and working up like kind of like a daily vlog format, I think it was, that I was trying to attempt. Just kind of like sit down, play the game, etc., etc. And we lost a lot of viewers at the time, but we also gained a bunch of viewers a few months later, when we started getting into, you know, a level that was more relatable to people. Town Hall 7, not so much. Town Hall 8's, meh. You know, like, there's some people that were playing and watching content, trying to grow. But once we got to Town Hall 9, that's where things started really taking off on the channel. And I remember, granted, you got to keep in mind that I was in the military, and by the time I got out, I was in a management position. I had soldiers, I had people that looked up to me for guidance and motivation and experience, and et cetera, et cetera. And I was just a normal guy, you know what I mean? Like, just a normal dude. Just got up, went to work, went to the gym, went home, you know, maybe watched TV, maybe went out and fished, whatever. And I didn't think that the channel would ever grow. Like, I'm a nobody, you know what I mean? Like, and that's what a lot of us think. Like, I could never make content because I'm just some average bloke that, you know, goes and works a job and goes home to their wife or kids or girlfriend or boyfriend, or, you know, whatever it is that you do. Like, a lot of people feel that they'll never be able to do it. And that's the way I felt about it, you know? I remember posting a video. It was something along the lines of proof that I do not buy loot. And the title wasn't planned, you know, like, it was just literally, here I'm proving, because this comment I saw on a video said, every time I watch one of your videos, your loot is full. Like, you must be buying it. And I was like, what? You know, like, no, not. So I made this video, just recorded it, like, whatever. We were just playing the game, and we did the thing. But anyways, we posted it, and this was like the 23rd of December, 2019, I think it was. And we had gone on a trip to go visit Fabi's sister. So it was like 6 or 7 hours away from us. We had to drive up there. We got into town. I had this video scheduled before I left. Didn't really think it was going to do anything. Didn't really care, honestly. Like, it was just kind of fulfilling the audience that was growing at the time. Well, that video went live, and I remember sitting on the back porch of my sister-in-law's house, and my notifications start going crazy on my phone. Like I'm getting like all these comments flooding in and all this. Essentially, it was like the very first time that I had a video do what they consider viral in a way. Like the video went live, and I think it hit like 300,000 in a day, and I was like freaking out. Granted, compared to other platforms, you know, like TikTok, etc., 300,000 views is nothing, you know, to some channels. But to me at the time, I thought it was the coolest thing that I had ever happened, you know, or the coolest thing that had ever happened. Anyways, so there's a level of an addiction that happens when you are just a normal person and your content blows up in a way, and you try to replicate that. You know what I mean? I think that you try to replicate the content, and you just continue to try to feed that audience. Then the pandemic happened, 2020 happened, and I wouldn't say that we had necessarily gigantic numbers. They weren't really that bad, you know, big or anything. Maybe we were lucky if we had like maybe 20,000 on a views on a video or whatever. But I just got so addicted to trying to facilitate or, you know, feed content to the audience that they needed, what they wanted, and that was going to genuinely help them progress throughout the game.
Okay, so I feel like this requires just a little bit more depth into what I'm talking about, because it just sounds like a bunch of like, I was addicted to creating content for YouTube, for the audience. But a lot of people out there don't really understand the behind the scenes of YouTube content creation, or film for that matter. When it comes to the content creation itself, it does tend to take up a lot more time than what most people are willing to invest in doing so. A lot of people will tend to watch us play these games and they think that we're just like recording ourselves really fast, and then we do like some really quick edit and then we pump it out. But when you start adding in adjustments to the screens and jumping through cameras and changing footage, it starts to take up more and more time. So what that means exactly is that back in this time frame, I would wake up in the morning, be in the office, figure out what the topic was, you know, whatever was going on with the account at the time, and then I would record the footage, maybe break for lunch, you know, have something to eat for like 30 minutes, and then be right back in the office again to edit the video and try to get it out the next day. And this time frame, I was posting like 6 videos a week in that daily vlog format. This got really, really bad, and a lot of it got really repetitive in a sense, because I was neglecting my own personal life at this time, to where there was one time, I think it was Thanksgiving 2020, where Fabi cooked a dinner and we were supposed to celebrate together, and then I chose to come out, eat dinner, rush back to the office and work on a video to get it out the next day. And that was really discouraging for her. And that's just one example of multiple times throughout 2020 and 2021 where I did that and lived that life.
The downside to that is that I never actually played anything else at the time. I was just so ingrained in Clash of Clans and the community that I didn't have an interest to play anything other than that. And we fast forward a few years, I went from being super passionate to the audience at that time that I wasn't really paying attention to, you know, channel analytics and the numbers that were behind the YouTube platform itself. In my head, I thought that everybody watching the videos were all subscribers. You know what I mean? Like, I didn't think that the videos were being discovered that often, and that all those numbers being generated were being based off of my YouTube subscribers themselves. And then I quickly learned by furthered education behind YouTube that a lot of my content wasn't really being watched by the subscribers at all. It was like 75% unsubscribed and 25% subscribed. And sometimes it would be drastically different, you know, 90-10 or 85-15 or whatever. But, you know, when you come to that realization that people are not really watching the content because you're posting it in a certain format, then you start to doubt yourself. And I think that's one of the biggest mistakes in a way for me, because I've never embraced being a YouTuber. You know what I mean? Like, I've never said, yeah, I'm a YouTuber, and look here, guys, my name is Joe, and welcome back to the show, and I'm awesome. Like, I've never gotten that mindset, or never like accepted that I'm a quote unquote YouTuber or an influencer for that matter. I've always been just Joe, you know, I'm just a guy. And I think that's one of my biggest mistakes over the years, is that I've never fully embraced that logic or that mindset in a way. I've always felt that I needed to be real, but at the same time, being real wasn't generating the growth that I thought the channel should have at that time after a couple of years, you know? Yeah. I think at the time, I think this was about 2022, the channel was like 300 and something thousand subscribers, which we had generated, you know, relatively fast over a couple of years. Okay, not really fast in YouTube terms, but, you know, for a Clash of Clans channel. I started doing further education, trying to understand YouTube, understand like what type of content that I should be making to try to generate more numbers, to increase my overall influence and size. The thing that I discovered was that a lot of content needed to be, you know, way over the top. Like, it had to be overly fluffed or unrealistic or a lot of money spent, which at the time I really didn't have a lot of money to spend on Clash of Clans or in my real life, you know. And so I thought that if I could increase my overall influence in the game, that it would help generate further growth, which would result in further revenue, etc. And I kind of shut myself off from, well, there's two things that happened actually. The game itself, like Clash of Clans, by design, is not supposed to be completed in like a year, you know? Like, you can start a brand new account in Clash of Clans and not spend a dime. And you can play completely free to play. However, you have to skip out on a lot of stuff, or you have to sacrifice how quickly you're doing things. And so a new account, you could easily take, and this is based on my own experience, I've played through countless Clash of Clans accounts to grow it as quickly as I possibly could, both free to play and by just buying the Gold Pass. And so a brand new account, free to play, if you start at Town Hall 2, after the tutorial essentially, you can get to Town Hall 11, I want to say Town Hall 12 in a year, by maintaining continuous growth, maintaining those builders down on upgrades, and laboratory continuously going, doing clan games every month, doing clan war leagues for the league medals, just basically exploiting out all the free things that they offer you throughout the year. You should be able to hit Town Hall 12. But that's consistent growth. I'm not talking about taking breaks. I'm not talking about, like, you know, getting busy in your real life and not opening the game for a couple of months. No, this is like day in and day out, log in, upgrade something, etc., etc. Yes. Now, to fully max, I think the minimum limit is like 4.5 years. I could be wrong on that assessment. But I think it is from new to the maximum level in the game is like 4 years. And it slows way down at the higher levels because of how much things cost, how long they take to upgrade. And honestly, you know, if you play every single day for a year straight without playing anything else, it's going to burn you out pretty quick, you know, especially when let's say your clan's not that active, or you're having a hard time finding an active clan of like-minded players. So it got to a point where I went from this daily vlog type situation for this one account to where I was having to do like a monthly video to consolidate all of what's been done in a month, because I was genuinely bored. there was just not enough topics to cover once you got to like Town Hall 13. I mean, and there's only so many times I can cover clan games before it's literally the same thing every single month. Or there's only so many times I can make a farming video where I'm saying, use sneaky goblins to collect resources because it works. You know, like, it's just not interesting. At least it wasn't interesting to me. I was losing interest rapidly. And the problem with that is that I lost connection to the audience themselves. And I was also trying to grow the YouTube channel itself. So I started like really kind of targeting subjects, and these videos started taking longer and longer to make. You know, they ended up being scripted all the way through and a ton of B-roll recorded. And it just became so much more work than any fun. Now, I'm not trying to sound like I'm complaining, because I can work like no other. Like, Fabi said that I am probably the hardest, like, what do you call it? That I will work when most people will play. You know, when I'm set on a goal, I'm going to do it. And it became so much work that it just became unfun, you know? 2023, I remember that YouTube did like this push on shorts. Like, they were really trying to get people to post shorts. And I swore the years prior that I would never touch shorts. And so I just got curious, you know? I started making shorts more often than long forms. And I remember the channel grew from like 350,000 subscribers to 700,000 in like a year. And I thought that was just insane to watch, you know, seeing months where the channel subscriber count was over 25,000 or more. And it was like, what? This is actually a thing, you know? Of course, that generated a lot of unwanted attention in a way, because remember, I never really bit off on being a YouTuber and, you know, like, I'm super cool. Like, there's always been like this doubt in my mind that you're not good enough in a way, you know, like they call it imposter syndrome or whatever. Like, I feel like I'm imposing in a way. Hold on. And so we had all this growth, and sadly, you tend to get a little cocky in a way, you know, like, you get confident, like, yeah, I'm a growing YouTube star. Looking back on it, it's just so stupid now, because at the end of the day, it's really meaningless, you know, like, meaningless in the sense of, if you don't have connection to the audience, you're just growing, you know. So I was growing at a expedited rate, exponential rate, and I just didn't have any passion or connection with the audience anymore, you know. I'm just pumping out content just to get views and just to get subscribers and just to hopefully generate more revenue, but that doesn't necessarily mean that worked. Which leads us into 2024, you know, like, I went to Worlds last year, and there were some unfortunate events that took place. I'm not really going to get into too many details, because then I have to explain my diagnosis of PTSD from my time in the military and the deployments. The point is that each person's different, you know, like, we all have like our inner demons that we have to deal with. And some people are more open to talk about it. And some people are more like me, and they would rather just keep it to themselves, because I'm probably older than most people watching my YouTube channel, like, by a bit. I've lived a bit. I've seen a lot of things in my life. I grew up without the internet. You know, it wasn't really a thing. I mean, it was there, but we couldn't afford it. It wasn't in my household, that's for sure, until way later on. Yeah, I lost my train of thought there. the point is that I went to Worlds and I had some experiences in a way that weren't really necessarily ideal. I don't really recall a lot of the events that took place to this day. However, I will say that I had suspected for a few years that I was not like the other Clash of Clans YouTubers per se. And they're all a lot of really great guys, you know. I mean, I've known a lot of them for many, many years, although I don't necessarily talk to them as often as I would have liked over the years. I just got so busy with work, you know, making content. I didn't really reach out to anybody. I kind of lost contact with even friends. But I also noticed that I am very different than a lot of the YouTubers that I know. Meaning I have some unfortunate life experiences that a lot of them will probably never experience based on my prior to YouTube timeline. And then also, I noticed that a lot of YouTubers, and I think I read an article a while back, something along the lines of like the best YouTubers are introverts. And I don't remember exactly where I heard that or read that information, but I know that I am not an introvert. I struggle at being inside all the time. I am very much an extrovert. I'd rather talk to people one-on-one and face-to-face. I like to see the results of my influence. You know what I mean? Like I like to, you know, spread positivity, and I like to see the results of that to say, you know, I am doing something right with my life in a way, or I am helping other people. And I don't really get to see that by making YouTube content. Very rarely do I actually get to see that. I mean, it's really hard to read comments nowadays because of that amplified growth to where you have a mixture of people that are commenting on the videos, and those that have supported over the years tend to get drowned out or hidden underneath a lot of negativity and stuff that really drains the life out of me. Like, you know, I don't go on a video and just purposely insult people. You know what I mean? Like, that's just not something that I would ever want to do. I don't find any pleasure in that. But on my channel, in my content, and just recording this video as I am right now, no hat or no cap, because, you know, that's a debate that we got into on a live stream because in certain countries they learned English differently. I'm American, so we have a lot of slang compared to the British English. Anyways, I'm not wearing a hat. And people will go out of their way to insult my hairline. Dude, I've had this hairline since I was like 17 years old. Like, it's never changed. I can pull a year. I actually did that. I did that a couple months ago because I went to Dallas, Texas for an event. There was a picture taken with me and another content creator for Clash of Clans. And like the top comment on there was like ragging on our hairlines. And it was like, is it really that bad? You know, I started like questioning myself. Like, I'm having self-doubt about my physical appearance because of somebody on the internet has to diamond out. You know, you would think that I would have enough like confidence in myself to not even care. But I actually got home from that event and opened up, I found my yearbook from high school, and I opened it up and went to my senior picture, and I was like, wait a minute, I've always had these chops. Like, they've always been there, you know? And it's stuff like that that just makes you think, why do I do this? Like, why do I make content to just be insulted by people that I don't even know? And I actually heard somebody, I think it was actually the Huck Tua girl. I don't even remember her name. But yeah, I'm sure a lot of people know exactly who that is. However, she said something along the lines of like, I don't really care what they think because I don't know them. And I was like, you know, that's actually a pretty smart way to look at it. And I wish that I could. My problem is that a part of my passion when it comes to making content is being able to talk to the audience and actually have like a two-way, like, I care, you care, and that fuels me to make content. without that, I just stop making content. And that's one of the things that's actually happened on my YouTube channel for Clash of Clans, is that I don't have that connection anymore. So I don't really have the motivation to make content. Like, I'll make content for like updates and sneak peeks and challenge videos, because I know that that's something that people are interested in. But to actually make like content that I want to make, I just don't do it unless it's like highly scripted and highly B-rolled and like with the intent to get a bunch of views. And that sucks. It sucks really, really bad, because without that passion or without that motivation, what do you do, right? So I just wanted to record this because I have been built up and essentially hiding part of myself and part of my feelings and part of my thoughts for a really, really long time. Like, I have to hide myself so much in the sense that I have to screen pictures that Fabi's going to post, or I will not share like TikToks that we've made together because my whole body is shown. And what that means exactly is that things are so bad sometimes when it comes to comments that like the fat shaming is just so ridiculous to see. And it freaking sucks. And I'm not, the funny part about being a larger guy now is that I wasn't always like this. When I was in the Army, like 5 years ago, I was 145 pounds. I don't know what the conversion is. Google it. However, that I was slim, trim, like 8% body fat. I could freaking rep, in the gym, just straight rep, 25. You slap 135 pounds on, rep it out 30 times, straight without stopping. And then I got so addicted to YouTube and like posting for the audience that I was in the office all the time. My gym routine just went down the drain, and I was eating like trash all the time, like really, really crappy foods, fast food, ordering out, DoorDash and Uber Eats and just crap. And then, I wake up one day and I look in the mirror and I'm like, holy smokes. It's like you can see it in my face. Like, you can go back to videos from like 2019 and you can see it in my face now. And it sucks because I can't even like post a picture from like here down, because I don't want to see the negative crap comments of, it's not even related to the game, but they come onto my video and they just want to destroy me, and that demotivates me even more. So it's like, as a person, as an adult, I'm like, what's the point in posting content? Why am I going to open myself up to being insulted, like when they need something from me, which I never really understand how Clash of Clans is not a hard game by any means. I don't think it's hard at all. But then again, I've been playing for the last 12 years too. But a lot of the content that I make for Clash of Clans is like, this is obvious. Like, why do I need to explain this? But I do it because I enjoy it, or I enjoyed it, The moral of the story is I'm trying to figure things out. I'm trying to figure out what direction I'm going. I'm trying to figure out what type of content I'm trying to make and what's going to ultimately make me happier as a person. You know what I mean? Like, this is not the only thing I want to do in life, We want to travel. We want to go around the world. We want to experience other cultures. We want to, celebrate with people in, countries that have never been seen before. Just do things that make this life worth living.